Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This week we're going to be making some delicious pasta salads, but first we're going to make some dessert for the week. I'm going to make Molly's Turkish brownies. Now I've had Turkish brownies before, but they were made differently than what her recipe is, so I'm going to try her recipe today. The ones that I tried were kind of dusted with a chocolatey cardamom type powdery thing on top. It was absolutely delicious. But I'm going to give her recipe a try today. So I've got my bowls here, and we're going to start out with the dry ingredients, and I'm just going to follow her directions. So I'm going to go ahead and add my sugar into my bowl here, and some flour, some unsweetened cocoa, some espresso powder, cardamom, some baking powder, and some cinnamon. And I'm just going to whisk this all together until it's all nice and combined. Now, you can find her recipe for this on the Food Network website. I won't leave it linked below because every time I link anything from the Food Network, I get copyright strike, and I don't want that. So just go to the Food Network website and look up Molly's Turkish brownies, and it will pop right up. Okay, so that is nice and mixed. We're going to go ahead and start on our wet ingredients. Okay, so I went ahead and cracked in my eggs into this large bowl here, and I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla, and some melted and cooled butter. And we're just going to whisk this together until it's nice and combined. And I've switched from a whisk to a little spatula here. And I'm just going to go ahead and add all of my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients, and we'll get this mixed up. Okay, so it's almost mixed up. I'm going to grab my walnuts, and I just toasted up a few walnuts in a dry pan until they're lightly toasted. I'm going to go ahead and add those. And we're going to get these folded in. I love brownies. They're just so good. And these smell so delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and move around some stuff and grab my baking pan. I've got an 8 by 8 inch baking pan. You can use whatever kind of baking pan you have on hand. This is a glass one, so it's going to take just a little bit longer than the metal pan, but that's fine. And I just got it greased and lined with a little bit of parchment paper. And I'm going to add this brownie mixture right into the pan. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of press this out into the pan, making sure it gets into the corners of the pan. And it's a little bit even because that parchment paper likes to slide around in a greased pan. All right. Now this is going to go in a 350-degree oven until a toothpick inserted into the center of the brownies comes out clean. Should be about 20 to 25 minutes. Alright, so my brownies have finished baking, and I let them cool in the pan for about 20 minutes, and then I just remove them to this wire rack. So while they finish up cooling, we're going to go ahead and start on the frosting for the brownies. So I'm going to go ahead and set these to the side. And I've got a little bowl here and a whisk, and I've got all of my ingredients here, and we're just going to start making this frosting. So I've got some powdered sugar, and I'm going to add this right into the bowl along with some cocoa powder. This is unsweetened cocoa powder, and I've got some cardamom here. I'm going to add that right in there, and just a little bit of salt just to bring out the sweetness of the powdered sugar and the cocoa. So I've got some brewed coffee here. This is some espresso that I had this morning, and I just let it cool. I'm going to add that right in here. And some vanilla. And now I'm just going to whisk this together until it is thick and combined and smooth. Alright, so my brownies have cooled and I've got my frosting, and I'm just going to plop this frosting right down on top of these brownies. Okay. And I've got a little offset spatula here, and I'm just going to spread this frosting out, going all the way to the edges. Now, I don't have any sprinkles to go on this, but these will be just as delicious without the sprinkles as they will be with sprinkles. So if you want to add sprinkles to it like her recipe calls for, you go right on ahead, but I'm going to leave them plain. All right, y'all, here are the Turkish brownies. These were really, really good. I highly recommend that you try them. So be sure to head on over to the Food Network website and look up her recipe and give these a try. Okay, you guys, today I'm going to be making a farro and corn salad. It's super easy and very delicious. Now, depending on what kinds of farro you have, it will take between 15 minutes to 50 minutes to cook. Pearled farro will take about 15 to 20 minutes to cook, while the others take a little bit longer. So just keep an eye on it. And when it's tender but with a slight bite in the center, it's done. So this recipe is coming from the Mediterranean Dish Cookbook, which all of her recipes so far are absolutely delicious. I will try to find a similar recipe and link it for you guys below, or if she has it up on her website, I will leave that linked as well. If not, you can check out her cookbook in my Shop My Book section down in the description box below. But I'm going to go ahead and let this cook, do its thing, and then I'll drain it and rinse it, and then we'll go from there. Alright, my farro cooked for about 25 minutes, and I just drained it and rinsed it slightly. You still want it to be warm when you add all of the other ingredients, so that way it absorbs the dressing when you add it to it. And then I just put it in my bowl. My battery on my camera died, so it deleted all of the footage. So we're just going to start from here. I added my kidney beans, and they are drained and rinsed. I've got some corn, and I'm just going to add that in here, along with some bell pepper and some tomatoes that I've just got halved, and the bell peppers are diced. Just going to add all of that in there. And I already went ahead and made her basil vinaigrette that goes with this delicious salad. I will try to find something similar, or if she has this on her blog, I will leave it linked for you guys below. So I've already tasted it and adjusted the seasoning, and I'm just going to add this right onto this salad. And this smells so good. I love basil vinaigrette. It's just so light and fresh. Now all we're going to do is just mix this together until it's all nice and combined. And then I'm just going to wrap this in some plastic wrap. And then we're just going to let this sit and let that absorb all of those delicious flavors for just a few minutes. And then this will be ready for dinner. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up a little bit, so that way we have a little bit of room to make our plates. So I've got my little tasting spoon here. I'm just going to give this a taste. See if it needs any more salt and pepper. That is really good. Nice little kick to it from the red pepper flakes, but I'm going to go ahead and cover this up and let this sit for a while, and then I'll show you my plate. Here is this delicious farro salad. It is so easy and so delicious. I love making salads like this for side dishes or main dishes. It just packs a ton of flavor and nutrition in one single meal. So this was absolutely delicious. Hey y'all, so today we're going to be making a lemon tuna pasta salad. This is so good and very easy. We're going to start off with making our pasta. So I've got my water here boiling. I've already added some salt. And I'm going to add some pasta. Now you can do spaghetti or bucatini, whatever kind of long pasta you have on hand. So I'm going to add that right in there. And we're going to get this going. Kind of zhuzh this around the pan a little bit until it kind of molds itself down into the pan. We're going to let this cook. Once it gets al dente, we're going to add some peas into the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going, and then I'll bring you back and we'll add the peas. Alright, so my pasta is al dente, and before I add the peas to the pot, I'm going to remove some of this cooking liquid, probably about a cup, and we'll set that to the side. And I'm just going to add some peas into my pan here, and since these are frozen thawed, I'm just going to let them kind of sit for just a couple of seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and strain this out. Now I've got my pasta and my peas sitting over here to the side. I'm going to go ahead and add in some olive oil to my pan here. Now this is going to create a nice sauce. And I've got some garlic chips here. I'm just going to add these in. And we're going to get these lightly toasted. While those toast up, I'm going to tell you about my preserved lemons. Now this is a recipe that I found online for preserved lemons. So I will leave that link down in the description box below. I'm going to turn my heat down on low real quick so I don't burn these garlic chips. But these have been preserving for just over a month. You can also buy this online if you don't want to make your own. And then I just added some with a few other ingredients to a food processor, just kind of pureed it up. So I have kind of like a preserved lemon paste. And it smells delicious. So I am going to add a little bit of this lemon paste into my pan here, because we also need to cook this up. Probably, I don't know, about a third of a cup. Now the recipe calls for red chili peppers, and I don't have any. So we're just going to sub out the red peppers for red pepper flakes. Oh, this smells so good. So I'm going to add probably about a teaspoon of red pepper flakes into my pan. We're just going to let this toast up until it starts to get a little color to it. If you've never cooked with preserved lemons, I highly recommend you try it, because it just adds a delicious brightness to your dishes. And it just smells divine. Okay, so my preserved lemons are getting a little bit of color to them. I don't want them to get too brown, because then it'll turn bitter. And so will the garlic. So I'm just going to add half of my pasta water. And we'll save a little bit for later. And I'm going to add my pasta and my peas back to my pan here. Get my pasta out of the little holes in here. And we're just going to mix this around. Make sure it's all incorporated with that preserved lemons and peas and olive oil. And this is also going to finish up cooking the pasta. I'm going to turn my heat back down to low. I'm going to add in my tuna, olives, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And we're going to season this up with a little bit of pepper. I'm not going to add any more salt. I'll taste it later because the preserved lemons are quite salty. And I'm just going to turn my heat off. We're going to toss this together. I'm going to go ahead and try this and see if it needs any more salt. That is delicious. So this is pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and plate this up, and then I'll show you my plate. All right, you guys, here is my plate, and this was so good. I always have some kind of tuna on hand, whether it's in water or in oil. It's just a quick go-to for a quick weeknight dinner, but this was absolutely delicious. Good morning, you guys. I am out of coffee creamer this morning, so I figured I would go ahead and share with you another coffee creamer recipe. I will go ahead and put this up on my blog and leave it linked down in the description box for you guys. So if you want to try that out, it will be in the description box. So I've got a pan here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my pan over medium-low heat. And I've got a can of evaporated milk here. Now I'm going to be sharing my almond dulce de leche creamer. It is so good and so easy. Very minimal ingredients. So I've got the can of evaporated milk. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now you can leave the sugar out if you don't want it that sweet, or you can add more sugar if you want it more sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in there, as well as a can of dulce de leche. Now this is super thick and it's so delicious. Caramelly, it's just so good. Now I'm just going to start mixing this around and getting this all nice and combined. It's going to take a minute because that dulce de leche is very, very thick, but it will loosen up as it gets warm. And then I'll bring you back and we'll add some more ingredients. Alright, so this has been going for about 5 minutes and everything is nice and melted down and combined in that evaporated milk. I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat off. I don't want it to thicken anymore. If you want it to be a little bit more thick, you can cook it for a little bit longer, but it's going to thicken up as it cools. So, to bring out the flavors of the caramel notes and the sweet notes of this coffee creamer, I'm just going to add just a tiny bit of salt just to bring out those flavors, probably about 1/4 teaspoon, if that, and give that a nice little mix. Make sure that salt is all nice and melted down. And this is just a gorgeous caramel color, so pretty, and it tastes even better. So I've got some almond extract, and you can do about a teaspoon of this. If you do any more than that, then it's going to taste bitter. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon of almond extract, and then just give that a good mix. And all I'm going to do now is let this cool down completely, and you can store it in whatever kind of jar with a lid that you have or prefer, and it'll stay in your refrigerator about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how fast you drink it. I wouldn't keep it longer than 2 weeks. That's about how long my last is, about a week and a half. But this is pretty much done. All I'm going to do now is let it cool and store it in the fridge, and I will show you what it looks like when it gets cool. All right, you guys, here is the creamer once it's cool. I'm fixing to put this in the refrigerator so I can have this all week. But this is so good, very easy. Just make sure it's cool before you put it in the refrigerator. All right, guys, today I'm making another simple salad, and this is what we're going to close the week out with. And we're going to be making some Egyptian barley salad. This is so easy and so good. We're going to start out with the dressing first. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to my pan, or to my bowl, not my pan. And we're going to add some pomegranate molasses. This stuff is so good. It's sweet and it's got a little nice tart flavor to it. It's really, really good. I get this at my local Asian store, but you can get this online as well. We're going to add some cinnamon to this. I'm almost out of cinnamon, so it's about time to restock that. So I've got my cinnamon. We're going to add some cumin. We're going to add a little bit of salt and some pepper. And now we're just going to mix this up until it is nice and combined. Okay. I'm just going to swap out my whisk for a spoon. Now I've got some cracked barley here. You can do whole barley or you can do pearled barley. Whatever you have on hand. This will also work with rice, farro, brown rice, whatever you have on hand, it'll work. So I'm going to add all of this right in here. I've just cooked it and I'll let it drain and cool. Now I've got some raisins. We're going to add those in there. It calls for golden raisins. I didn't have any golden raisins, so we're just going to use regular raisins. And I've got a bunch of mixed fresh herbs here, and we're just going to add all of that right in here. Some onion. Now, the recipe says to mix all of this together and then add some stuff on top to make it look pretty, like feta and everything. But I'm just going to mix it all in a bowl and call it good. So I'm going to add my pistachios, and I've got some feta cheese here. And I'm just going to toss all of this together. Make sure it's all nice and well coated in that dressing. And this smells so good. And it's so easy and light. And with those herbs, it's fresh. And it didn't call for mint, so I added a little bit of mint in there. I love mint in salads. It just gives it a nice, bright, fresh flavor. So now all I'm going to do is check this for seasoning, add some salt and pepper if I need any more. Then I'm just going to cover this in plastic wrap, let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes just so that barley can soak up some of those delicious flavors of the dressing, and then this will be ready for dinner. All right, you guys, here is my bowl. This Egyptian salad was so good. The feta cheese with the sweetness of the raisins and the tartness of the dressing just paired so well together. Highly recommend you try this one as well. And that is going to wrap up this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.